if there's extra time in a given day.
Okay, so Mr. O'Toole, as best you can guess at this point in time, what would you need across a day or more than a day?
I think probably a day, Your Honor.
So if we could keep Thursday free somehow, that would probably work.
I think so.
Okay.
And as I say, I can't promise that because I'm never good at that.
Sure, but that, at least that gives us a ballpark to work with. So
That's fine. Let me just ask a question, getting a little ahead of ourselves. But as we have these witnesses, for instance, experts in particular, their availability is all very limited, and they're all over the country also. If necessary, well, I guess the first question is Your Honor going to be away during the week of the 27th for that judicial conference?
yes,
So, and that's carved in stone. You have to go away and do that.
I definitely do.
Is that Tuesday through Friday or Tuesday through Thursday, Your Honor?
I will actually be there either late Saturday night or really early Sunday morning and get back very late Wednesday afternoon or in the evening.
So potentially the only day we would have the week of the 27th
Is that Thursday?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the jurors have.
That's the next thing. Because we had told the jurors about this a long time ago, they were also aware of the fact that we wouldn't be in session that week regardless. So I think some of them have made plans for that week already.
That's fine. I just wanted to know as I talk to these experts and they say, when are you available? That's what I want. So
I wouldn't put anybody in that week at all because I think we would probably get sideways with the jurors if nothing else.
One more question likely to incite the ire of everyone in the courtroom towards me. Would the court consider being in session on Friday the 24th if that were necessary?
Did you say Friday? No, I may have misheard you.
I did, and again, I'm asking because I have one expert I was just talking to. They said he's available the 23rd and 24th.
I could be available Saturday and Sunday some of the time too.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. I said, well, that doesn't really help me. But again, if it's something where we can get somebody done, I just thought I'd
No, I
inquire
understand.
whether that's a possibility.
I would have to check and see what's going on the 24th because I've got meetings in SeaTac and Olympia on Fridays too. And I can't remember all of them to be quite candid about it, but I'm happy to look at that as a possibility on the outside chance we need to do it. The trouble is, what we would be doing then, I think, is hurrying through an expert only to be done and out of session the next week, which doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense.
The reason to do it is if the expert were just available at that time, then we would, because some of these guys, they say, oh, I'm available that week, and then not until the third week of May.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I don't want to get into. So, hey, I'm not real enthusiastic about doing it on a Friday. 4 days is about my personal limit.
In all candor, just so that everyone around the room knows that I'm not being obstreperous, there's a whole lot of things to consider when you're trying to be in session on a Friday, including jail transport, because they got to cover all of the sentencing calendars.
Sure.
The lower bench folks get scattered about to different places on Fridays as
Okay,
well.
well, I thought I'd inquire.
No, I understand, and I wish we could be more accommodating, but I don't think it'll work for a whole host of reasons. But
Right.
so anyway, let's try and get your witnesses done on Wednesday afternoon if possible, and if that frees up the whole day on Thursday, then I think Mr. O'Toole can complete his cross-examination, or at least we can hope that would.
And it sounds as if Mr. Presio would be finishing his direct of Mr. McEnroe either Wednesday afternoon or Thursday morning. Under that
Right, and and something like that,
I
yes.
think we'd have to wait and see how it all plays out.
We'll have to see how far we get today.
Yeah. So thanks for the heads up. I appreciate that. So, but just to make sure we're all on the same page, don't plan on putting any witnesses on the 27th, the week of the 27th, if we end up in that week, because I think the jurors are going to have their own issues.
That's fine.
Okay.
You know, I realize I know there's a social component to the digital conference that begins some days in advance, but
I wish you were right about the social component. Frankly, it's not the most fun thing I go to, but
two quick things. I don't know if the defense would want to consider, I haven't really considered it myself, presenting Dr. Weaver by Skype, and maybe not, but I'll mention next week. They talked about that in the context of an interview in the past, but then again, that's their call. And secondly, if when we do this, I wonder if the court would consider just a brief explanation to the jury that in order to accommodate some witness scheduling issues, we're going to break up the testimony so they don't wonder what's going on.
I fully intend to do that because they don't need to be in the dark about something like that. And I think they'll understand, given the length of the trial to begin with and the difficulties we've had in past scheduling people, because frankly we got ahead of schedule. So I don't have any quarrel with doing that whatsoever. And Kenny, before I forget to ask you, after you bring the jury in, could you grab that envelope of material so I could give Mr. Akula a heads up as to how many pages there are, because I frankly don't remember. Okay? Thanks. Anything else before we bring the jury in?
No, you are.
Okay, great. So let's bring them in. And Mr. McEnroe, if I could invite you back to the stand, sir. That's what I thought.
Me too, but this would have priority, but, you know.
Okay, well, I was assuming that would be the case. Thanks, guys.
Of course, you know, this is nothing, they could send a CES and everything.
Rise of the jury. Joanne's have everything. That's the other thing for families.
It's another glitch.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna pray to take them some Friday's house.
They're not getting. You want to talk to Dan?
We were not paying rent. Exactly.
You had your own electric bill,
Yes.
and then your phones.
Yeah.
You're doing with your phones.
Yeah, exactly.
How about cable? You didn't pay?
We didn't have it.
Don't touch nothing.
We lost it again.
It's working for me.
Talking about yes.
Okay.
So, not the initial conversation, but the subject.
Okay, so you believe that there was this $3,000 loan?
Yes.
Okay. What were the terms of it as far as paying it back?
The terms of it was that he was going to get what's called a crate modal, 350
What kind of motor?
crate. Yeah.
Joe, without the technical details of car engines and things that probably I will not understand.
It's okay.
Could you just give us a summary of what it was that he was going to do without all the technical
Well,
details?
This was an old Firebolt. It had all the original parts and whatnot, and the engine was basically worn out. So he was going to put in a new engine, which would also involve putting in a new carburetor, which is the only, because otherwise it won't work quite right, because this is a much bigger engine than had been in there originally.
So he's going to fix the car by putting in a new engine.
Right, and making it so that it actually runs.
Okay. And so what became of this?
The car had, it ran okay for a little while, but then it just didn't anymore. He'd ended up having to, originally he'd had somebody else's carburetor on there.
Let me interrupt you.
Yeah.
I don't want all the technical details of cars.
Okay.
With all due respect.
That's fine.
Let's try to steer closer to the center.
Fair enough. I was just going to say he switched it up and it never worked right again after that.
So the car did or did not get fixed?
No,
Okay. This was not a new Firebird, right?
it was not, no.
About how old was it? Do you know?
I'd say it was from 86.
Okay, so it's 20 years old at that point?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, but there was mention of this in your statement to the police and in Michelle's statement to the police. How in the world would this car issue have anything to do with the fact that you guys killed your family?
Okay. Well, how it has to do with anything is that she went off like giving him money to do this. He'd never got in the car walking, and though we tried to get their help several times on it.
Hold on. We tried to get their help several times. Who were you talking to?
We being actually Michelle, and them being pretty much Scott actually,
So Michelle had talked to Scott about this.
about trying to go and help us with that, and Wayne as well about trying to get help with that, and neither of them could really, they both had really busy schedules, and like, look, we can't do that. I mean, you can go off and get a book and figure it out as easily as we can.
Go off and get
A book and figure it out as easily as they could. So,
So she wanted the car fixed. It wasn't fixed yet. But Scott was working. He had a young family,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, I mean, was there ever any discussion of like, okay, well, let's just take the car and either sell it or take it to a repair shop?
Actually, we'd taken it to a number of different repair shops, and nobody was interested in working on it because it was an older car. Newer cars, they just have a thing where you can like plug them into a machine and it'll go off and actually tell you what needs to be done with it. This was an older car. It was before that. We'd actually left it at one repair shop for
Joe.
a year, and we didn't do any, and we just got it back.
So you took it to some repair shops, and it sounds like that
Yes,
for some reason they couldn't fix it.
it didn't quite work. Yes,
Okay.
sorry.
Once again, could you explain? You'd said that the idea of killing her family had really, I don't know, solidified or come up
Yeah.
either at Easter or Christmas
Yeah.
before. So either Christmas 2006 or Easter 2007.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Explain to this jury, please, how that came up.
Well, she's having this problem with the car, and she's going at Scott basically all the time to go and like try and get her money back, because she's like, look, you've got a good job, you should be able to go off and give me my money, right? And I didn't really realize this at the time, but I mean, she was going to, apparently she even brought this up like at Nathan's boss, and it's like really kind of tasteless, but I didn't really realize,
Keep your voice down.
sorry, I didn't really realize that she was getting so over the top with that on that side. Wayne's view was like, look, we're letting you stay here basically rent-free, so what are you complaining about, right? I mean, you don't have any room going and asking this guy for money when we're looking out for you, so just lay off, okay? And to whom that was them taking his side in this dispute, because she's like, why should this have anything to do with this? So she felt that they were going after her and betraying her like that.
So hold on a second.
So
She felt that they were going after her and betraying her like that. But you still decided to move up there rent-free, right?
we had already been living there rent-free, yeah.
Okay. When you moved up there rent-free, at that point, was she still working at the post office or Nintendo?
At that point, she was not working, no. In fact, neither of us were at that point.
Neither of you were.
No.
Because one of you had to stay at home and guard the house.
Yeah.
But at that point, she wasn't working, so why didn't you go back to work?
Shortly after what I did, after I was helping to set the place up and everything, doing all the,
Set the place up, you mean the 1910
yes,
address, the trailer?
yes,
Okay.
making it
Started
livable.
working shortly after that?
Yeah, once I got it livable, I started walking again, yeah.
Okay, well, again, why the need for the rent-free living? You guys, when you were arrested, correct me if I'm wrong, you had about $12,000 in, is that right?
Yes,
Okay, and she had money in the bank too, correct?
yes,
Upwards of $10,000 or $15,000, right?
yes.
I mean, you could have gone to outside of the Seattle area where real estate is insanely priced and put a down payment on a little place, right?
We could have, yeah.
Did you have that discussion?
Actually, we did. And she wasn't interested in moving outside of the Seattle area. And she had, I don't know, she felt that she was entitled to share of the property. That
The share of the property?
Yeah, the Carnation property. She was, ongoing thing was that she was worried that she would get cut out of that. So,
Okay, but what about, we've got some money in the bank, maybe you didn't have quite that much a year before, but
right,
you had been working, you said you had been paying rent back at the trailer park.
Yes.
Even though you weren't working, right?
yes,
So you had some savings.
yes.
So again, why not pay rent to Wayne and Judy?
She had convinced them that we were basically indigent at that point.
Indigent?
Yeah, and that we would pay up, that we only need a year to get on our feet and whatnot,
Hold on, I missed all that. And we what?
and that we need a year to get on our feet. I didn't really particularly like that. I mean, I don't like living off, I'm sitting here almost 30 years old. Why do I want to go off and live with my girlfriend's dad? Seriously, that's just pathetic. Okay? I've been living on my under my own steam I've been living under my own steam since about Arizona. And going and living off of somebody else is just
But,
pathetic.
I mean, the idea was they were going to support you for a year or something like that?
She felt that this was something that was owed her, so she's like, look, they owe me this, so whatever. I'm just like, okay, whatever makes you happy.
Well, did you see Wayne and Judy independent of Michelle? Did you ever, when you were around the property, talk to them?
Not much.
Did you ever talk to them about the rent situation? Did they ever say, hey, Joe, we want to talk to you about, how we can start to have you pay rent or anything like that?
Fact is, I actually went and they brought me, early on in this whole thing, Wayne had given Shell a couple of rent contracts, and I'd actually went and drawn up a contract for us to work with that after a year would go and start at 200 and work its way up to about $1,000, and actually point out, okay, so this, and this is what we're going to be working with. These bills are all on us. This is his responsibilities, and so forth and so forth. As far as I know, that was never actually printed up and brought to him.
But you had some kind of agreement about your working around?
Yes. Yeah.
Were you actually doing those things?
Yes, I was. Eventually, she had me stop doing those, but yeah.
Did the plan to kill them and that plan to kill them in advance, did that include the date that was chosen, Christmas Eve?
I think it actually did, yes.
Okay. Let me ask you another question.
Okay.
Were you already living up in Carnation when that plan came about?
I do not know.
Okay. And what was the reason? What was the reason for it? What on earth was the reason for it?
Well, originally she wanted to go and basically show up at Scott's Walk and kill him and get the car or truck and drive it back and
You want to show up at Scott's work
and kill him
and
and
take a car?
yeah, well, when he went out to his vehicle to kill him and then take this vehicle and drive it back to Erica's and kill her there. And it's just like, these guys. Now, this is going to sound really weird because basically I'm just pointing out, these guys live right down the street from a police station as opposed to, that's really immoral, but pointing out that things were really, that killing someone was really immoral, just she had no interest in hearing it, so I had to go. So usually what I would end up doing was having to go point out the logical problems with something as opposed to the moral problems with something.
But did you try to point out the moral problems? Were you like, what is that going to solve, Michelle? Or think anyone
Yeah.
objections?
Actually, I did go off and actually bring that one up. It's like, look, how does this going to help anything? And she's like, it'll go and show them not that, people shouldn't mess with me. It should, it'll go and give her the closure that she needs to be able to move on with things. She was really obsessed with the whole idea of closure for her past wrongs, and so if she wasn't able to get closure for the things that people had done to her, then it would never get better. Some people are able to just let go of things, like me, and some people just let it, when something bad happens, they just let it fester in them and eat away at them and consume them like she did.
But Joe, I mean, it just sounds, okay, so you said that she didn't want to hear about the moral end of things, like killing violates every law of God and man.
Right?
So you would approach her with logical arguments,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I mean, what about closure? The only closure you're going to get is the closure of the jailhouse door, Michelle. I mean, how could you possibly think you'd get away with this?
She was convinced that some people, their role is that they're supposed to be killing, and that the reason that she was having such problems in her life was because she hadn't killed people. And if she did go off and kill people, then things would walk out where they should be going. Yes, I did bring up, look, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to go off and do these things. You're concerned about this. I'm concerned about this too,
I'm upset about this, you said?
No, concerned about this. And she just didn't have a lot of patience for that. This is something that I had an ongoing thing for years, the entire time of me trying to be like, look, let's not kill these people, or maybe there's a better way to go about things. Maybe this doesn't have to happen like this. Not necessarily this particular instance, but in general, right? And it wasn't enough. Actually, at this point, she's like, look, I've tried doing things your way. I've tried going to my parents. I've tried going and walking with the police. I've tried going to supervisors. I've tried all these things, and every time that I've done things your way, things have gone wrong. So maybe I should be trying things my way for once.
So hold on. You're killing people, that had come up throughout the course of your living
Well, yeah,
in the Seattle area?
yeah.
But from April 2002 until December 2007, there was no killing. Is that right?
Yeah, I managed to talk her out of it, yeah.
Okay. You just said that she had tried to go to the police?
There were times we had problems and she went to the police, yeah.
When was
Not
that?
in this particular case, but in other things when somebody had went and bashed her car, for example.
So like with the whole, somebody's bashing the car back in Kent?
Yeah, yeah.
But was there ever any discussion, well, let me ask you, did you ever at the time think, wow, this woman is crazy. I better see if there's some resources available to help her. Anything. 911, maybe talking to Wayne and Judy?
Well, no, actually. I had concerns about her, but I figured that, okay, she's just been through a lot, and eventually she'll get better, and
Hold on, you figured that what?
that eventually she'll get better. And
Was there any sign of that happening over the course of 5.5 years?
frankly, she actually got worse as time went on. A lot worse as time went on. And it never occurred to me to go and do something because she was really, her biggest fear was going to an institution, a mental institution, being kept there for treatment because she was convinced that she was not crazy, that she was the only one who was really seeing things how they are, and that she had, because she'd actually gone through treatment previously.
She'd gone to treatment previously?
For depression, as Mark was telling everybody about.
That was not with a psychologist, right?
No, that was not with a psychologist. She felt that because she had went and gotten treatment for depression, that eventually that particular treatment had eventually went and made her so that things were leveled out and proper, so that
things were what?
whatever lack was corrected, right? So whatever problem she was having was corrected by that point, so she felt that she did not have any reason to be going to get help again, because she felt that she was on an even keel.
She felt she was on an even keel?
Yeah, she had doubts about everybody else, but she felt that she was on an even keel.
I didn't hear you.
She had doubts about everybody else. Sorry.
But when you're with her, she's talking about neighbors being out to get you and killing people and this alleged wrong that Scott had done with the car.
Yeah.
You were working for at least part of the time when you were in Carnation, correct?
Yes.
You worked at the Target in Issaquah?
Yeah.
And you gave a brief summary without a lot of technical details, but what exactly did you do at Target?
I unloaded trucks, I put merchandise on the floor, and then I would go off backstock it.
And you would backstock it?
Yeah.
Okay. Any of them talking about killing people or the neighbors calling you attack or anything like that?
No. No, I was aware that that was a bit strange, yes.
You were aware that that was a bit strange?
I was aware that wanting to go off and killing neighbors is a little bit peculiar, yes.
I didn't hear you.
I was aware that wanting to kill one's neighbors was a bit peculiar, yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Please repeat, sir.
I was, in fact, aware that wanting to kill one's neighbors was a bit peculiar, yes.
Okay, but I mean, it's more than just peculiar, right? It's a real
Yes.
problem.
Yeah, actually, especially
Hold
considering...
on. I need a complete question and a complete answer.
Okay.
Can you repeat?
But
After you.
It's more than just peculiar. It's a really big problem, especially in this case, right?
It's, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, but again, you never sought any help. You never thought maybe I should see what mental health resources are available.
I didn't think any more available.
Did you ever look into it? Did you ever look in the phone book?
No.
Back, you had a phone line. Did you have? This was 2007, but maybe you had.
Yeah.
You did
It
have
never...
internet, right?
We did have internet, yes.
It was a dial-up connection, but it was still internet, right?
Yeah.
And Google had been invented.
Yes.
Okay, so you could have just looked into mental health resources.
Yeah. It
in the
never
Sound area.
It never occurred to me to do so.
Never occurred.
Never occurred to me to do so, no.
Um,
In retrospect, it's one of those things where I really wish that I actually had chopped myself, because it's, you know,
really wish that you had what?
chopped myself, because that's one of those things. Chopped.
Are you referring to your penis?
Yeah.
Why do you
Because
wish you did that?
then, as far as I know, if you go off and like, take a serious wound like that, or a serious injury, and you go to a hospital and like, I mean, realistically, the cops would want to know, okay, what happened to you? And it's one of those things that would have almost certainly ended up with us going and getting some professional help. And that would have been totally worth it. Talk about a good price, right? But
Did you have a cell phone at this point?
at that point, yes, I did.
Okay, and how, Michelle took you to work whenever you went to work?
Yes,
And you had breaks and things like that?
yes.
And could you have made a phone call at the break, maybe to Judy, and said, hey, Judy, I'm concerned about Michelle. Did you ever do that?
No. No,
Why not?
well, for one, I didn't have a number, but mostly
You
it
didn't
just,
have her number?
yeah, mostly it just didn't occur to me to do so.
I mean, you could have gotten her number if you wanted.
I could have, but Michelle was very much about, okay, don't let anybody know that we're having any weaknesses or that we've got any problems. With what she had said, with what Maltman had said about, oh, well, she seems like she's doing it. She was telling everybody that she was doing great. Things are falling apart. She's, you know, sorry, she's super paranoid. We're really scared all the time. And, oh yeah, we're doing great. She was starting to feel like we were going off and like building a new house. You know?
Where was she telling them that? Who was she talking to?
She was telling them on MySpace.
On MySpace.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe.
So.
We're going to talk about exactly what happened.
Okay.
So, you're living in Carnation.
Yes.
The idea has come up at least several months, if not a year in advance, to kill a family.
Yeah,
Right?
I've tried to avoid it by pointing out that, look, these guys live right down the street from a police station. This is not going to work. And she's like, okay, well, I can go off and get them at a holiday. And it's like, okay, look, that's a bad idea because, I mean, they're going to be bringing the kids along, right? And so that stopped her for a little while, but, bless you, a month or two down the line, she started talking about how these kids were warped, how they were being abused, and how they were getting,
Hold on, slow down.
how
Started talking about what?
how these guys were warped and how they were being abused and how, it would be better for them to just be killed so that they're able to go and cycle around again.
So they're
and
able to,
cycle around again. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, okay, look, this is a bit much, okay? And, I mean, if we're concerned that, there's going to be some apocalyptic event sometime soon, and that
Some
sounds apocalyptic event sometime soon.
Hold on, apocalyptic event?
Yeah. Sounds silly, but anyway, look, if we're not going to get into that at all, and that life as we know it is going to be ending at some point soon, then why are you even bothering with this? Whole view is that she wanted to be sure.
Because what?
Whole view was that I want to be sure.
Okay, well, hold on. I do want to, without getting too far afield here, what apocalyptic event were you expecting?
No particular event, just something that would possibly like a very large war or something like along those lines that would kill off a large number of humanity.
Well, did you guys think that that was a realistic possibility?
Yes.
Something having to do with the Iraq War was going on in
Not necessarily the Iraq War, but, something along the lines of the Third World War or something like that.
Without any specifics, you kind of thought,
Just things that we had, the way things were going.
okay.
So, I can't be more specific than that, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So,
So you had these discussions, and then she started saying that these guys were warped, you said?
the children actually.
Was there a discussion of, again, I mean, I'm looking for some logic here.
No, she actually was just sitting here going off like, showing me these things, trying to
Showing you what?
build up this logic and telling me these things, and I'm like, look, I'm not sure this is right. I'm not really sure about this. And she's like, look, trust me. You trust me, don't you? I know what I'm doing. I wouldn't go off and say this if it wasn't true. You trust me, don't you?
That
And
sounds a little like what she was giving to Mark Mann on the phone there.
that's, yeah, similar, except like a lot heavier and constant. And it just increased as time went on, especially in that last month. That last month, it was 24 hours, day and night. We were, after I'd quit, we were sleeping in shifts, literally.
Hold on, let's,
Okay.
after you quit, you were sleeping shifts?
Sleeping in shifts.
Okay,
So
you'd been working at Target up until,
the weekend after Thanksgiving.
okay, so roughly a month before the incident?
Yeah.
A month or 5 weeks?
Yeah.
That year?
4 weeks, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you, I want to just, because this is relevant as we talk about how this thing unfolded. There was some discussion in Michelle's police statement to Detective Tompkins about why you quit Target and becoming an electrician. How did that happen when you quit Target?
Okay.
You said before that you liked the job.
Yeah. She didn't feel it was a real job, though, because it wasn't a union job, and it wasn't, well, a construction job, I mean. And it wasn't an office job, and it wasn't a construction job.
Those are two real jobs?
Those are the only real jobs as far as she was concerned. So after Ryan had started working as an electrician, she's like, wow, this guy's making...
After who?
After Ryan Bagel?
Ryan, the gentleman who's in here?
Yes, that particular one. Had started as an electrician. She's like, wow, these guys make a lot of money, right? And she started wanting me to do that, and I'm like, but I like my job. She's like, look, I don't care if you like your job. You've been making more money here. You should get a real job. You're all, almost 30 years old. It's like, okay, whatever.
So did you take some steps to become an electrician?
I did. I went and got my GED, and I got took an online math course for that. The only thing that would have been left was getting a driver's license, and she tried to teach me how to drive, and that was one of the most horrifying experiences of my life. Not quite as bad as what came later, but it was still really awful.
What's the big deal?
She is very possessive of her vehicles, and it's one of those things where it's really hard to explain exactly why it was so bad. It's one of the things, for example, one of the things was that the wheels on the truck were a little bit bigger than they should be, so if you turned too tight, they would kind of grind against the inside of the wheel well. Now, she could feel this because she was attenuated to the truck. I
She
couldn't.
would feel it because.
She was attenuated to the truck. Now, I had no idea what this was doing one way or the other. I'm just like, okay, wheel goes this way, truck goes this way, right? And she was going and getting more and more upset at me, and because I'm risking all this really expensive investment, really important investment that is the only way of getting around, but with my casualness, I guess,
So were these, let me just ask you, because it's odd here, you're telling me how bad these driving lessons were, but at the same time, you guys are talking about massacring a family. I mean, laying those two things next to each other, it's really hard to get too worked up about the driving, right?
Yeah, these are two completely separate things, yeah.
But they were happening around the same time, driving lessons?
Yeah, actually. Actually, the driving lessons for, keep in mind, she was talking about killing everybody in that time.
What?
She was usually talking about killing everybody, so that doesn't change much. The
Okay.
driving lessons, were actually taking place at when I was still in Falls City.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but as far as killing people, she was talking about that all the time. It sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, at this period up in Carnation, either after Christmas '06 or Easter '07,
Mhm.
things got a lot more
Intense.
intense, okay? Realistic
Sorry.
as far as the killing potentially happening.
I wouldn't say realistic, no.
Why not?
Because realistic would go off and imply some level of planning, strategizing, actually like making real steps, right? And
It sounds like you are planning and strategizing. If you don't want to do it at Scott's place, it's the cops are down the street.
yeah,
That's planning and
well,
strategizing, isn't it?
that'll be about the extent of it, though, because mostly she was just sitting here talking about how going over old grievances and how bad these people were and how this had to happen and how the things that her mother had put her through when she was younger and the things that her father had done and how Scott had like torn on them and had torn on them and how the children were becoming corrupt and how Erica was a bad person and corrupted Scott and
But again, you know these people, right?
Yes.
You met Scott, right?
I met him. I didn't know him particularly well.
Okay,
Erica.
but you met Scott, you met Erica.
Yes.
Any signs of him being a bad person
No.
you observed?
No. Actually, my observations of them were that they were actually rather nice people.
Okay. And tell us some more about what is happening. I think where we had gotten to was that you stopped working at Target.
Yeah.
She wanted you to be an electrician.
Yeah, but that's like far before you're actually like a year or two back with the wanting me to be an electrician and stuff.
Okay, but what she told Detective Tompkins
Wait,
was...
so she had what? Hold on.
Hold on, Joe. I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
That's how it works.
Okay.
She told Detective Tompkins you were passed over for a promotion at Target.
Yes,
Is that true?
this is true.
Okay. And so she said, well, I thought, let's just have you quit. And I'm not reading from the exhibit, so it's not an exact quote,
Yes.
I beg your pardon, but let's just have you quit and become an electrician, right?
That's inaccurate.
That's not accurate?
I'm not saying that that's inaccurate from her statement. I'm just saying that that's inaccurate
Okay,
factually.
what really happened?
That the reason that one of the things that I had quit Redmond Target for was to study to be an electrician. when I had said that I was going and doing some schooling earlier,
Stop and slow down.
when I said that I was doing some schooling after leaving Redmond Target, the first thing I was studying for was to be an electrician.
Okay.
And then when I realized that this was not going to happen because of the driving thing, I started studying programming instead.
Okay.
So-
Why did you quit Target why did you quit Target? You got passed over for a promotion.
I ended up actually seeking, in fact, the only reason I was seeking the promotion was because I was hoping that, okay, maybe this will go and be a good reason, do some kind of, I was hoping that it would kind of, for whatever reason, be a reason not to do this.
A reason not to do what?
This
What did
killing.
you say?
Killing.
Killing your family.
Killing her family on Christmas, yes. Sorry.
You hoped that the promotion at work would talk her out of it?
I was hoping that having that and so having some reason why it's like, look, things are going perfectly well without killing people, okay? So we don't have to go off and do this thing. So we don't have to go through these steps. So everything's going to work out just fine without going and doing this. And then it got passed over anyway. She's like, look, see, that's a sign that that's just proof that we should be going and doing it this way. So,
But she didn't sign the resignation paper, right?
no, she convinced me
You did
that,
that yourself, right?
yeah,
And did you do that?
yes, I did.
Okay. Now, you said that you kept coming at her with logical arguments. I can think of a whole number of logical arguments why not to do this.
Yeah.
So what kind of arguments did you make to her about why killing this family? What did you do to try to stop this, Joe?
I can't even say now. I tried everything that I could, okay? And she would just
Like what
so,
did you try?
I mean, everything. I think I even probably did go off point. I was like, look, this is totally unnecessary, okay? And she's like, look, I know what I'm doing. I know this is important. I have to do this. If I don't do this, then, you know, things are just going to continue the way that they are, okay? And, I mean, it sounds so lame to sit here and not be able to at least go off and explain what I did, but I did do everything I could, everything that I could think of, and she would just get tired of listening to me, just start snapping fingers in my face, and I'm like, what are you doing, you know, until I stopped talking, and then she's like, I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? And she's like, snapping my fingers in your face like you're a dog, because I'm trying to train you to listen, okay? Because me having a view that differed from hers was not good enough, okay? Me trying to go off and explain why this was a bad idea was not good enough. Me trying to explain, look, if everybody's going to die anyway, then why are we going and jumping the gun? Does it really matter? I want to be sure. How are you supposed to go off and argue with that kind of logic?
Well, why not just walk out the door and leave?
I couldn't do that. I just, you know, Crow showed me the same thing, and I couldn't do that.
What do you mean? Let's talk about how is Crow involved?
The only way that Crow is involved in this is that I'm sitting here and things are getting way out of hand. I'm just like, okay, so what the hell am I supposed to do? And it's just, he showed me that I could just walk out, and it's like, no, I can't.
So you had a conversation with Crow about this?
Not really.
Well, what did you do?
More of I'm sitting here wondering these things, and he showed me this.
How did he show you that you could walk away?
He just showed me. I don't know. I can't say it better than that. I'm sorry.
But you didn't follow his advice?
No, I didn't.
Why not just shoot Michelle? My goodness.
She was... For all that, I mean, I don't mean to make her sound like she's like this monstrous person, I mean, because she wasn't. I mean, she was really just this person was like very hurt, very scared, very, very emotionally fragile, right? And just, she had a hard time handling things. It's not that she was mean or cruel or that she was as vicious as she sounds. She's just, she felt that she really did have to go off and like lash out at these people lash out at people when they didn't agree with her or whatever, because otherwise they would go and lash out at her and try to take her apart. So she would lash out at others and try to take them apart instead.
Do did you see, regardless of what Crow said, was it realistic for you to leave? Had you thought it through? Like, I could just walk
Yeah,
down
I
the
did
road
think
and-
about it.
Hold on, had you thought it through? I didn't hear you, Russ.
Had you thought I could just walk down the road or get a ride, maybe get up when Wayne's going to work in the morning, ask him to drop me off in Carnation, get a cab, take a bus, anything in the world to get out of there?
Yes,
You had thought that.
yes.
Well, again, why not?
On one hand, I thought that she would proceed along with that particular route anyway.
I'm sorry.
And on one hand, I thought that she would proceed along that particular route anyway.
She would proceed along.
That particular route anyway, and that it would be worse because of that.
How
Okay?
could it be any worse?
Well, the way that it is, at least nobody's cell phone.
At least.
At least nobody's cell phone. The way that it is, at least nobody's cell phone. Now, that might not be worth much, but I was doing what I could. The other thing is I couldn't abandon her like that.
You what?
I could not abandon her like that.
So instead, it's okay to kill this family?
Instead, I'm sitting here going and trying to come up with ways to get around this, to keep this from happening, and eventually, and here's the part where willful ignorance comes in. Here's the part where willful ignorance comes in.
Willful ignorance?
Yeah, well, she's like, look, we are in danger. These people are getting ready to attack us, And I actually believed it, okay? It hadn't even occurred to me until like a couple of days ago that's like, wait a second, that was crap. That was like obvious crap too, but I didn't even think about it. Oh, they just happened to be going off and getting ready to attack us while we're coming down at this. It just happens to go off and coincide with what she wants to do? Really?
Excuse me, may I ask, did you say it didn't occur to you until a couple of days before or a couple of days ago?
Ago, actually.
Like just
Yes.
March of 2015?
Like, I think it was Saturday.
In 7 years in the jail, that never occurred to you?
I just hadn't done the logic of that. Mostly my thoughts all end up being really caught up with, okay, how could I have prevented this, and what the hell am I supposed to do with this, and most of all, the event itself. Not, okay, well, when she said this, was she lying?
So but that part, when she said this, was she lying, that's something that didn't occur to you until a couple of days ago?
No.
But you were thinking about how could I have avoided this?
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time thinking about how I could have avoided this.
And none of these paths made sense to you? I mean, what about just killing yourself?
No,
Sparing the
I'm
life of
saying, all the stuff that I tried to put out there before all this just didn't work. As far as killing myself, I would have if I thought that would have helped. I thought that it would have just made things worse. She said she needed me and I believed her. So, no, if I could have killed myself and kept them alive, I absolutely would have, okay? But, no.
Carolyn, take the afternoon break here.
Sure. Ladies and gentlemen, please leave your notepads and pens here on the chairs. And we'll discuss the case amongst yourselves. We'll see you back in about 15 minutes. Thank you. And you can step down, Mr. Matt.
Thank you.
We'll see you folks in about 15 minutes, and Mr. O'Toole, it's less than 50 pages, so it's not that much, okay?
I'm not trying to be honest with you, this difficult. Do you remember the page numbers are? It's no big deal if you don't.
The base stamp numbers? Yeah, it's 023251.
023251.
Yeah, and through 023290. Okay?
Thank you very much. I apologize.
No problem.